Hi, I'm Calvin Thompson, and I am blessed and honored to be a Jayhawk.
Hanni the Hawks is presented by Jefferson's with 2 Lawrence locations, home of the best wings in town, 21 signature sauces. You got to check them out. But if wings aren't your thing, how about a burger? They hand patty their certified Angus beef every single day. Also, hand bread their tenders. They make their ranch in-house. There is truly something for everybody at Jefferson's. Go see my buddy Brandon Graham and the entire crew at Jefferson's, either on Mass or Wakarusa in Lawrence, Kansas. Welcome into another edition of Hanni and the Hawks. This week, with the madness of March upon us, we are down in the Power and Light District in downtown Kansas City, just across the street from the T-Mobile Center, and we've got a legend of March with us today, Calvin "Pony" Thompson. Calvin, great to see you, my friend. Thanks for coming down amidst the Big 12 tournament to talk some Jayhawks.
Thanks for having me. No problem.
If you're watching on YouTube or on Kansas Nation, we're currently decked out in some really cool starter swag. Of course, Rally House is your Big 12 tournament headquarters. No matter what team you cheer for, they got you covered down here. Obviously, we'd prefer if you buy the crimson and blue, but they've got everything for Jayhawk fans, Cyclone fans, Houston, Arizona, even TCU, whom we're playing later tonight. We try not to date ourselves, but we're taping this right before the Jayhawks hit the hardwood, and we're going to talk for the next 45 minutes all about Calvin's career, some of his favorite memories of March, and his legacy as a Jayhawk. But real quickly up front, just tell me about the pride of being a KU basketball alum when it comes to this time of the year, when Bill's always got him marching into the postseason with a full head of steam. What's that like as one of our more prominent ambassadors in the KC area?
You say this time of the year. I'm proud every day of the year to be a Jayhawk, and but this is extra special. It really is. It ties everybody together, brings everybody. It's almost the end of the end. I was blessed and fortunate enough to play in 3 tournaments. Being right here at home, we were at the old Kemp Arena playing in the Big 8 tournament. So this is exciting. You know, I look forward to seeing alumni players and former players, and I'm just hanging out and talking Jayhawk.
You were the pride of Wyandotte High School, the prize recruit of the area back in the early 80s, and we're going to get to all of that in a second, I promise. But since it's Big 12 tournament week and we're at Rally House right now, seeing the fan frenzy outside, I imagine a lot of our viewers and listeners are probably 35 and younger. They never attended a Big 8 tournament at Kemper. I used to come over with my dad, and if you get to play hooky from school and watch basketball all day from sun up to sundown, that was a big deal. Set the scene for the younger Jayhawk generation on what it used to be like over at Kemper, the activity in the stockyards, and just the energy in Kansas City back in the 80s.
Yeah, back in the, and I purposely said Big 8 to bring that up. With the K-State, I'll tell people all the time, it didn't matter how bad they were, how good we were. It was always a good game. It was a good rivalry with Norm Stewart over Missouri.
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Orr at Iowa State. And Iowa State, I mean, geez, they still travel well. Tons of fans out here all the time.
I don't want to make this sound like it's not as good today, because the conference is better than it's ever been in terms of the caliber of competition. But what you just got at, you just listed off all the coaches, the rivalries, the traditions amongst the fan bases. Without sounding like 2 old guys, was it better when you just had 7 other opponents and you knew everybody, they knew you? You know, there were the sit-down Norm chants. You counted on the fans coming down from Ames and Des Moines every year to get into it with Kansas in the final between KU and Iowa State. Did we miss some of that? Is that fair to say?
It really is. And of course, I'm a little biased, but,
Sure.
you know, I didn't get to, you know, Oklahoma State and Billy Tubbs in Oklahoma.
Sure.
I mean, those were some good games. And, yes, I'm a little partial towards the Big 8.
Yeah.
But times are changing, so we got to get with the program.
You know what? Let's just say this. It's different, and in other ways, it's exciting that it's different and unique. And as I said, it's better than ever. I mean, this year in the Big 12, you've got a 5 seed in the conference tournament who's the 6th best ranked team nationally right now. That's how loaded this league is. So with change, not everything stays as good as it might have been in terms of the familiarity and the rivalries and all that, but we do have a loaded conference, and hopefully this conference backs it up over the next few weeks in the big bracket. And as I said, being here at Rally House, this is the place to get stocked up for the postseason, whether it's the Big 12 Conference Tournament here in Kansas City this weekend or all throughout the month of March. Also want to thank our friends at Jefferson's, the presenting sponsor of Hanni and the Hawks. Get your wings if you're having a game day watch party at Jefferson's. All right, let's talk about your career. As I said, for the younger generation that might not know, back in the early 80s in Kansas City, there was a guy by the name of Calvin Thompson at Wyandotte High School that everybody wanted. And before he would go on to star for Larry Brown and help KU get to the 86 Final Four, it was Ted Owens' staff that won that recruitment and the prize of Calvin Thompson. But give us the whole backstory there and how much you were set on Kansas, because I know you had a lot of talented teammates as well that were looking at other places, but it seemed like Crimson and Blue was always the apple of your eye.
It really was. Growing up, all I heard about was Jayhawk this and Jayhawk that, and I didn't know what a Jayhawk was. As I got into middle school, Eisenhower Middle School, that's when I had broken my leg playing football, and I was in a body cast for a while, homeschool before homeschooling, so to speak. And once I came out of the body cast, I wanted to get back on the court because I had just started playing basketball and playing against the older guys because I was bigger and taller. And just so happened that Roy Edwards, his daughter, was teaching at Eisenhower. And she's like, Dad, you guys need to get somebody over here to see this guy. He has a cast on over here shooting threes before the three-point line and dunking with his crutches. And so that's how JoJo White and Coach Owens came over to see me, and they offered me on the spot.
Wow.
And I was excited because I was the first in my family to go to college. So I committed as a ninth grader before I got to Wyandotte. We didn't have freshmen back then. So once I got to Wyandotte, our big-time principal, Thomas Rome, he said, first of all, he asked me, he said, you're going to play varsity. You're going to be asked to play varsity. I need you to say no. And I'm like, I didn't question him because I didn't question authority because of my father's upbringing, the way he brought us up to respect authority.
Sure.
I trusted him. After I didn't question him, he asked me to come to his office, and he explained to me. And I'm like, wow. He said to me, we have 3 or 4 guys that are seniors that would never make it out of the neighborhood, if you're starting varsity and taking all the limelight from them.
Wow.
And he asked me, he said, would it bother you? You're already committed to Kansas. Can you just stay JV and mix in varsity when they want you, as opposed to taking the limelight? So he taught me how to be a teammate before learning the team game.
Love that.
And so, and everybody know my story with Mr. Rohn. I took care of him, and I was with him on his last breath. And he was although I had a father in the house, he was my pops.
The we over me mentality at a very early age, selflessly taking on a JV role so those guys could get their moment in the sun and eventually get D1 offers. It sounded like 3 or 4 of your teammates wound up playing D1 basketball as a result.
Yeah, they should have.
Oh, they should have.
They should have, and, different things that we're fighting against, in public schools that got in the way. But David Johnson succeeded. He went to Oklahoma and had a good career there. Other guys could have played and end up going to school. Marvin Morris was a senior when I was a sophomore, and he ended up playing at Seton Hall. And so I always say, what would have happened if I had, because we had been playing the same position.
Yeah.
If I had been all the focus on me and he not getting seen, he wouldn't have had that chance.
Man. Well, still to have 3 guys like that were D1 at Wyandotte back in the day, that was pretty special. And it's special that you've gone all the way back and brought the story full circle, now working at your high school alma mater again while cheering on your Jayhawks every chance you get. Speaks to how much Calvin Thompson loves Kansas City and is loyal to those that helped raise him. We're going to talk about all those great memories and moments, but one final question before we get to your KU glory days. You mentioned Ted and JoJo came over initially. I would imagine it's similar now when Jacques Vaughn comes to help Bill Self on a recruiting visit. Obviously, JoJo was a 6-time NBA All-Star, but when you have that NBA pedigree that he brought to the mix, and you're probably a young man that's thinking, okay, I want to win at the highest level at KU, and then I want to go be a pro someday. How much did that sales pitch help having JoJo with Ted Owens, and what was that like for an impressionable young Pony Thompson?
Well, you know what? This is going to surprise you. I had no idea who JoJo was.
Really?
I didn't watch pro sports.
Okay. I
wasn't an athlete. I picked up a ball. I wanted to be accepted by my peers. Everybody was playing sports. And I was a chubby, lazy guy. So I would rig the net so if I made it, the ball would come back to me. So I started shooting, and I marked, trust, it's still there. On the concrete, I would put "it's good." So I would stand in one spot and let the ball run back to me. I had no idea. I didn't watch pro ball. My friends did, and they would call me Nate Thurman. I'm like, who is Nate Thurman? Because I would rebound. I was big and rugged and all this. But after I got a scholarship, because I said I wanted to be the first in my family to go to college, then I became a student of the game.
I see.
And then I appreciated JoJo White. Then I pulled out all the scrapbooks and showed everybody how he used to come to the house.
Oh, yeah.
How he used to sit in the living room with my mom and my pops and talk about recruitment and this and that, what they can do for me and how I could help them. And what got my father, what got him was Coach Owens told my father and my mother that we don't want Calvin for 4 years. We want Calvin to be a Jayhawk for life. And I said, wow, it stopped me. You know, I get sensitive all the time. Every time I think I'm over it. But you weren't there, but you heard about my father passing in the stands my freshman game, my first college game. He had a heart attack and passed away November 27th in the stands. And but that's where I needed to be. If I didn't commit to Kansas, he wouldn't have had that opportunity to see my first game. My mother and my siblings, my nieces and nephews, they wouldn't have had a chance to come see me. And I'm Kansas. Somebody on Facebook, social media the other day, it's like, oh, it's just like we're Dallas and we're this and that. And I was like, no, you like Dallas. I love Kansas.
I love Kansas. Such a powerful testimony. And again, for the younger generation that doesn't realize you wound up playing for Coach Owens and Coach Brown, how did the family culture that transcended two different staffs, whether it's the former players, whether it's the people around the program, how were they able to wrap their arms around you even when the coaching change occurred to where what Ted Owens promised, that you're not just a Jayhawk for 4 years, but you're going to be a Jayhawk for life, was carried forward in the new regime?
That's why I'm here right now. I mean, Coach Williams petitioned for me to finish my degree by correspondence when I was playing professionally in France.
Wow.
Coach Williams is the greatest. He is a great human being. He said, Calvin, whatever you want. He said, I know of you. When he came here, he involved me. He would shorten his practice and come up to Topeka to watch Kellogg and I in the semi-pro team. I'm like, he didn't recruit me, but he was Kansas. Every time we had reunions, they always included us. Mm-hmm. Coach Brown, Coach Williams, and now Coach Self, who I played against. He was my grad assistant my senior year. He's all the time. I talk to former players at other schools. Stacey King, I'm going to hang out with him next week in Chicago. They're envious. They're jealous of KU, the brotherhood, the camaraderie that we have. And Jay Billis, my daughter loves him. I mean, all the time.
Jay, obviously a Dookie, but a guy that has said on numerous occasions that Allen Fieldhouse is the true cathedral of college basketball and the #1 place on earth to watch college hoops. We love that. We're recording this today from inside Rally House down in the Power and Light District. Looking good in your starter pullover there, my man. Having some fun on Hanni and the Hawks. We're going to step aside for a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll talk about some of the memorable March moments of Pony Thompson's career. Where did he get the nickname Pony? And some of the legends he both played with on the floor, and one he just told us he scrimmaged against as well, a young GA by the name of Bill Self. All those stories straight ahead as the fun continues on Hanni and the Hawks, presented by Jefferson's. Welcome back to Hanni and the Hawks, a special March Madness edition as we're recording this one not in our Kansas Nation studios, but rather in the heart of the Power and Light District at Rally House, the headquarters for March Madness and Big 12 tournament teams looking to stock up for the Big 12 tourney action at T-Mobile. Thrilled to catch up with one of my favorite former Jayhawks, going back to the Larry Brown era and that 1986 Final Four team, the great Calvin Pony Thompson. I keep referencing your nickname. We should probably start with that so the younger guys can learn. How did you get the nickname Pony? Who came up with it?
Teresa Smith.
Okay.
And she won't be watching this. Back in the day, 4th grade, 5th grade, we were playing the dozens, talking about each other, finding out each other's parents' names and cracking jokes on each other's parents' names. And my father's name was Horace, Horace.
Okay.
But the kids would say horse.
Oh.
Your dad's horse, you're Pony. So I'm Pony for life. Because although he was my stepfather, he raised me and he taught me right from wrong, and I rock Pony until I'm done.
There was another nickname that the great Max Falkenstein had for you, and I can't decide if we can tell this story on the show or not.
We could tell it.
Can you make it like a PG-rated version?
I'm used to that.
Okay. The Max Falkenstein Iceman story is one of my all-time favorite stories. Calvin's about to tell you an abbreviated version of that story. I hope you still enjoy it. Take it away.
Wow. We're on the plane flying. I think it was, I don't know where we were flying to. It doesn't matter.
I think you told me Colorado maybe.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And we weren't reading books like we should have been studying, but we were looking at magazines. And Max went to the bathroom and walked past me and stopped and came back and started browsing through the magazine with us. And
Sports Illustrated probably.
Nah.
Yeah.
Okay. So Max took over the magazine, so I proceeded to, oh my goodness, I had a drink. So I took some ice cubes and his pockets were a little open. So I slipped some ice cubes in his pocket. And he kept looking at the magazine. I kept slipping ice cubes in his pocket. And obviously, the ice melted. So after he got done with the magazine, he looked down at his pants and he covered up and went back to his seat. And hence, that's where my nickname Iceman came from.
And Max, in his classic voice, oh my, I'm going to call you the Iceman.
So, and wow, you come to my place now. I have a picture of Max and I and an autographed ball Iceman.
Iceman. Fans assumed it was because he was ice cold in the clutch, but it was actually because you were a prankster in the back of the plane.
Yeah, I was the big prankster.
Good job telling that story. Fit for our family audience on Hanni and the Hawks. So many great memories to cover, and obviously it's only a 45-minute show, but I know in hanging out with guys like you and Greg Dreiling and Ron Kellogg and Danny Manning, there is a strong belief amongst that 86 team that you guys were as gifted as any team in KU basketball history. I think a lot of folks my age and a little bit older look to that 97 team with Vaughn and LaFrance and Pierce and Pollard and Haas. You guys in 86, though, make the Final Four. You end up putting multiple guys in the league. There are multiple cases to be made at each position as to why that might be one of the greatest teams ever. And though it was the 88 team that obviously won it all for Larry Brown, I don't think anybody argues 86 was just as loaded as any. Give me your case for why that team was so special and why they should be remembered amongst the elite in Kansas history.
We were different. My freshman year, go back to that, we were we weren't very good coming in. I believe we was like 15 and 16 or something, and under 500, and we helped put Kansas back on the map when Coach Brown came in my sophomore year. We were going to be good with Coach Brown, Coach Owens, whomever.
Sure.
We had Carl Henry being eligible. We got Dreiling coming back being eligible. Danny Manning coming in my sophomore year, or for 2 years with me. The experience that we had, we were going to be good. Coach Brown, I tell everybody, regardless of what they say about our personal relationship, he was to me the best X's and O's coach out there. He came from the pros, and he simply knew how to get it done. Mm-hmm. And yes, it was some trying times early because he was used to dealing with men and then to come and take over a college team. But we had players in every position. We had Archie, who could have easily been a starter, Turgeon, Piper. Mm-hmm. All three could have been starting somewhere else. They were our role players. Right. And so we didn't skip a beat when we made a substitution. And with Danny playing wherever he wanted, Ronnie, they say, oh, you were taller than Ronnie. Why you play guard and he played forward? I could dribble better. But there's no, in our mind, especially Ronnie's mind, there's no better shooting duo than us. And we didn't have the three-point line, but times change, it evolved. And
sure.
But it's tough. It's not fair to be judging and saying who was the best blocker, just like the GOAT in the NBA with LeBron and Michael. Wilt's the best. It's
sure.
different eras.
Sure.
It's different eras, different positions, so it's tough to choose.
Having said that, has there been a shooting duo that's come along since you stay so close to the program? You're at Allen Fieldhouse all the time. You'll be at the games this weekend in Kansas City. In 40 years since, has there been a duo that reminded you of the shooting acumen that you and Ron had collectively?
Man, like I said, it's tough, and with me being a player and being as close to the game, a lot of people talk about peers. I didn't see Pierce as a lot of the true fans saw Pierce at Kansas. I see Pierce as a pro.
Sure. Just
like Joel Embiid, I see him as a pro. I saw potential at Kansas. But we talked to, Coach Self was telling Jalen Wilson, and he didn't know who I was. And Coach was like, you better Google him. He's like, oh, who's going to guard? He was going down trying to match up and talking about who's guarding who and who's guarding. Uh-huh. And so we matched up and we did all that. And then he had matched up 4 players on who they was going to guard.
You're talking if 86 played 2022.
Right. And then the 5th player that I had left off that I hadn't mentioned was D. Manning. And then he walked away. He's like, oh, I didn't know.
You saved the 2,900 career point scorer for last, the Mount Rushmore guy for last. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's fun to talk about. It's Billy Thomas. I mean, they can all stroke it.
Sure.
I mean, but as far as a duel, I mean, I don't know.
Tell folks how good Ronnie was, and especially on Saturdays, the legacy of Ron Kellogg on Saturdays. Folks need to hear that story.
Right, and those who follow me now, they say, what's with these numbers? I'm 35 this or 20 this or 55 this, and it was Ronnie. Going back and forth to Nebraska back then when they were in the Big 8. We went, Ronnie's from Omaha, Nebraska, close to Lincoln. We drove into town, and it was 44 degrees. It was a Saturday. Oh, I'm going to have a good game today. I'm going to have a good game. So we got together and was like, let's pass Ronnie the ball. Let's just let him shoot all the balls. So he had a career day. And so we just rolled with it. So we played on the week, we're not passing you the ball like this. But every Saturday we made sure Ronnie got the ball. Amazing. I mean, that's how he got us on the number deals.
That's hilarious. And obviously he delivered. I think we need to tell folks about Danny Manning, though, in his second season. Danny Manning, the sophomore, clearly there was a jump. He was really good out the gates, but the jump started to occur in that 85-86 campaign, and then obviously by the end of his career, he's the number one pick in the draft, and we're national champions. But what was he like in that special Final Four season of 86 when you started to see a star emerge?
Yeah, no, Danny, I tell everybody, he is by far the best teammate that I've ever had. Wow. And it's just his IQ. I mean, just listening to him and seeing things before it happens, and it help you think and look at the game in a different way. And he just wanted to make everybody better. He didn't want any of the limelight. He didn't want anything. He hate the attention. People don't realize that. It's all about team for him. And then listening to him when he played with Jay Kidd, and he would tell us, Jay Kidd would tell him the things that he was saying to us, and he was still learning. But at his level, I mean, if it wasn't for injuries, there's no telling where he could have ended up.
And Greg Dreiling, obviously a standout from Wichita, big presence in the post as your center. What was he like on that team?
The big fella. No, he was – you can't teach 7'2".
Yeah.
You cannot teach 7'2", so shout out to Big Greg. He just held it down.
What allowed you guys to go on such a special run, and without having to break down every game, since we're doing a special March Madness show, give me some of your favorite memories en route to that Final Four.
No, we had to simply come together, and it was a different guy each night. And so we were truly a team. And then Cedric Hunter, the ultimate point guard. Yeah. I mean, he just would distribute it. And if he got in foul trouble, or if he got the hack-a-shack, then here come Turge. And
sure.
So we played for each other. We had to, because of the adversity that we had faced with the coaching change and all the stuff that we had to go through that was in-house that people didn't know about. So we had nobody but each other. And we wanted to play for each other. And looking back, and I talk about goal setting in my motivational speeches and then time management, this and that, our goal was to make it to the Final Four. And I tell people our goal should have been to win the Final Four. But we still should have won. I mean, there was a rebound here and a foul there. The Archie Marshall knee blowout on a freak layup, right. And, you know, everybody's in foul trouble. We still had a chance to win. We still consider ourselves the best team in that 86 Final Four.
Duke moves on, but such a special legacy for that group in getting to that point. And I love what you said about the ultimate point guard, Cedric Hunter. Folks need to know, before there was Aaron Miles or Jacques Vaughn as the all-time assist leaders, there was Cedric Hunter as the ultimate distributor for KU Hoops.
Cedric, arms long as can ever, and can jump out of the gym. I mean, in high school, I think he won state championships in long jump and triple jump. I mean, he could rise.
And Larry Brown, as the orchestrator of that great run as a coach, you said earlier, as impressive of an X's and O's guy as you've ever seen. I've heard the story talked about in coaching circles, and specifically Kansas coaching circles, that there's only two guys that have the mental ability of seeing all 10 players on the floor in motion at once, and they can break down what each individual was doing. Play-by-play guy like me, I'm just following the ball. I don't know about, forward like you, what you're able to take on. But Brown's key ability that has only since been replicated by Bill Self, as far as any coaches we know, that can see all 10 in motion. And I hope that makes sense how I'm describing it. Anybody else would have to go back and look at the replay review and the slow motion and all that. Bill and Larry can say exactly what everybody did, whether they set the ball screen where they were supposed to or not, whether they were, playing both ends of the floor defensively with an eye on the help side defense or not. They can see it in real time. What was that like? And then when you came back to the huddle knowing he saw everything, what kind of accountability did that lead to?
That exactly right, because we're like, if you saw that, how did you see this, and this over here?
Yeah.
But everything, and that's what – he made us believers. We was down so much in that Kentucky game, and he said, trust me, just trust me. We were hack-a-shacking and fouling and this and that, and we ended up losing the game, but we were down like 14, 15 points and ended up losing by 2 or 3. Man. But that's when we started believing, and that's when it clicked for us.
Man. You mentioned X's and O's. For 23 years, KU fans have been spoiled by Bill Self's ability coming out of a timeout to get an alley-oop lob or some kind of high percentage shot because he draws it up and schemes it so stinking well. Larry Brown, many would say, every bit as good, if not better. In fact, Bill might say that because he gives him the ultimate credit, in being an instrumental figure in his ascent. What was Larry like as the chalk drawer when it came to the X's and O's?
Same thing. I mean, that's what I don't want to say 100% sure that's where Bill gets it from, but I think that's where he gets it from. He was right there in the middle of everything. And it's funny, I just told someone this week about the alley-oop to Flory. I said, I've never been so impressed with the alley-oop since the Cali-oop. And they's like, the Cali, and they's like, no, Larry called it the thumbs up. And then you get fans on social media talking about, oh, I'll never forget the thumbs up. My brother, although he knew me in and out, and everybody knew when that thumbs up was coming. If it was a timeout, if it was a substitution, he just knew who to pick on and when to pick on them. And that was the thumbs up for me with the Cali-oop. We had changed the name back then. And then now for Flory, I mean, wow.
How did he get the name the Cali-oop?
They, with Calvin, Cali.
Okay.
They changed it to Cali-oop instead of alley-oop.
For Calvin, I got it.
You got
Just making
that.
sure it wasn't like the GA, John Calipari, getting some credit on that.
I've been hanging out with Calipari the last month or so no.
What's up with the amazing talent that Larry Brown had just walking around at practice with Bill Self and John Calipari, and obviously you take a look at R.C. Buford's legendary career with the San Antonio Spurs. Greg
People
Popovich.
they forget about Popovich and RC, and I pull out the old pictures to show them.
Yeah.
All of them was on the roster together. Coach Manning. And I think we talked about Danny Manning when the switch hit. Coach Manning had a triple bypass, and he shouldn't have been out there playing and scrimmaging with us.
Ed Manning.
And Ed Manning, yes, the father. And I dunked on my mom once because she was on the court with me. So you're on the court, it's fair game.
Yeah.
So Coach Manning Ed Manning kept coming up, bumping me, and somebody threw me a lob, and I dunked on him, and Danny got ticked.
Did he?
That's when it clicked. He got ticked, and he started getting rough and started getting physical with, because we just played ones all the time.
Uh-huh.
That's what made us tough. We used to go ones all the time.
Sure.
And so Danny said, I got him. And so he started trying to check me. And
are you saying that's when the light came on and his ascent really took off?
that's when I told people that. Because before, and I don't want to say soft, Jeff Gildner was soft.
He's not here to defend himself.
That's a good thing. We nicknamed him soft. He loves it.
Okay.
But Jeff. Jeff was the hardest worker out there.
Oh, yeah.
But he was just a soft demeanor. He knows it's not a knock on him.
Okay.
And Danny, like I said, he wasn't soft. He was just a gentle giant.
Sure.
But he got mean after seeing us go at his father.
Man, how about that? The day you dunked on Ed Manning,
Yeah.
something was flipped. The switch that got the intensity and the
so-
playing all out from Danny Manning. I love that story. That's good stuff. Well, we got to step aside for our final timeout. When we come back, I do want to follow up on where we were just taking that on Bill Self, your early impressions of him when he was a young, early 20s GA to what he's become today. And then we'll close it with some fun stuff. We call it the fast break, 4 quick questions to close on a high note and a fun note as well. We're having a blast today out here at Rally House. It's your game day headquarters for the Big 12 tournament, and also a great place to get stocked up for the entire month of March, because we're hoping it's a deep run, multiple weekends long for your Kansas Jayhawks. This is where you want to get decked out. Look how good Calvin looks in that Starter brand pullover right now. I'm loving this as well on me. So big thanks to Starter and Rally House for having us out here today, and also our friends at Jefferson's, the presenting sponsor of Hanni and the Hawks. Back for our final segment right after this. Welcome back to Hanni and the Hawks. Back for our final segment. Again, enjoying this cool hangout today at Rally House in the Power and Light District, just across the street from T-Mobile. Calvin and I are getting set to head in there and watch the Jayhawks in the Big 12 tournament. But back in the day, it was the Big 8 tournament. I'm going to ask you about the Big 8 tournament of '86 in a second over at Kemper Arena. But before we do that, we were teasing all the talent that was on Larry Brown's staff earlier with Popovich and Buford and Calipari and Self. Obviously, Bill's gone on to be a first ballot Hall of Fame head coach and the winningest coach in the history of Kansas basketball. There's no way you could have known you had all these Naismith Hall of Famers holding clipboards back in the mid-'80s, but did you have a feeling or an inkling about one more so than another that, hey, man, this guy's got a bright future ahead? And what in particular was the read you got on a young Bill Self?
Well, it was tough. It really was. It was tough back then because coached.
Sure.
And the assistant coaches nowadays have different roles and they have a bigger voice. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, it was basically one voice.
Got it.
So what we've seen or heard, or it went unheard, it wasn't in public. I mean, it wasn't a knock. That's just the way he did things. So I didn't see it in Coach Self. I knew that he was eager, he was determined, or there's no way he would have left Oklahoma State to come here. But he saw something in Coach Brown. What I saw was R.C. Buford.
Okay.
Because, I mean, they had to start out getting donuts and coffee. And to take the heat and to still come back every day.
Sure.
I saw something in R.C. that's come out in the league for being the executive of the year a number of years. I saw that same determination in Bill Pope.
Okay.
Who was a manager, who is still working in the NBA.
What a talented group.
And people don't understand it. My motto in all of life, it's more than just a game. It's about relationships. And so you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You don't see the X's and O's. You don't see the 2-3 o'clock in the morning video watching and all this. But I know whoever was under him was going to succeed, and it's evident of his coaching tree.
Incredible to see what the assistants went on to do, what the players went on to do. That's why I say this 35-14 from 1986 made the Final Four, maybe should have won it all, but they probably don't get their just due in the great lineage of Kansas basketball elite teams, maybe because it's now been 40 years.
Yeah, and it's been 40 years, and I'm getting calls from Kellogg and a couple others, hey, what are we doing for this? What are we doing for that? But I said, times have changed. It's about now.
Yeah.
The older guys, some of the older alums, yes, they recognize and honor us, as it should be, but we got to get with the program as well. We got to get out there and make it happen. We got to support like they've supported us prior to us being us in 86. And so that's what it's all about. I like, I'm going to cherish our moments, but I'm about now.
Love that perspective. Before we move on to the fast break and wrap it up from out here at Rally House, one more story about the young assistants on that Larry Brown staff. Coach Cal told you had a photo shoot, and so you thought, I got to get all spiffed up and look good here. I'm a handsome guy. I got to show it. Pick up the story from there. What was going on with Coach Calipari baiting you into thinking there was maybe a different kind of photo shoot going on?
Yeah, that was Coach Cal. You talk about jokesters. He was a jokester. He used to sit at the back of the bus with us and crack jokes on the head coaches. But, I went out and got all shaved and had much facial hair, but got a haircut. We used to let the football players cut our hair, but I went home and got a professional haircut and come all back and got some new clothes and this and that, and he had me palming balls and smiling and cheesing, and come back with the pictures, and it's me palming the ball. I'm like, where's my headshot?
It was just your wrist in your hand.
That's all you saw was me palming the ball.
You were like the George Costanza hand model, if you get the Seinfeld reference. That's hilarious.
Yes,
so you went to all that trouble, dressed to the nines, looking your best, and you were a glorified hand model, palming a Spalding basketball or whatever it was back in the day.
Yes, that was Coach Cal, and people don't really. We had so many Yo Mama jokes, and he was just one of us. And you talk about Ronnie and I shooting the ball. It was me, Ronnie, and Coach Cal with shootouts.
Really?
Coach could shoot it.
Really?
Coach could shoot it when he first came up into Kansas.
Okay. What about Coach Self, some of those late-night scrimmages at camp, and maybe he scrimmaged against you guys at other times too? I've heard stories of what he was like during the Larry Brown basketball camps, but could he hold his own back then?
I think he scored like 2 or 3 points on me one time.
2 or 3 tops.
Now, Coach and Tad Boyle had a lot in common. They was just smart and slow.
Pretty smart, though. 630 wins later.
No, people don't understand.
Yeah.
Coach Self was Player of the Year in Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
He could play. He could go.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, we always like to close on Hanni and the Hawks with a fast break, just 4 quick ones, lighthearted stuff, just a fun way to end on a high note. And we talked about the origin of your nickname, Pony, since your father, Horace, when people would say Horace, it sounded like horse. If he's Horace, you're Pony. That's important to you, the nickname, but the number 35 is so important to you as well. You've done a lot with that number 35. It's part of your identity. How did you land on 35 to begin with, and why has it been so important to you throughout?
I talked about not watching pro ball growing up. One of the first games, professional basketball games I went to watch the Kings was Daryl Dawkins.
Okay.
And
Chocolate Thunder.
Chocolate Thunder wore number 53. Dunked everything, broke backboards. Me being a jokester again, I ran on the team bus. And we had beat them, and he was mad, and I was like laughing and pointing at him, and he got off the bus and was chasing me. And I got off the bus, and when I was running, he was still coming, so I took off. But we laughed because he didn't stop running, and then once they came up to me, they introduced us. We ended up meeting and playing against each other in Europe.
Wow.
In later years. But once I got to college, I wanted to be a guard, and guards didn't wear 53 back then. So I flipped it around to 35.
How about
so
that?
It's 53 to 35, and that's where 35 came from. So that's
Daryl
my
Dawkins.
nonprofit, 35 Inc.
Love that. Great inspiration behind the number. Great story as well. That's good stuff. All right, Pony Thompson, fast break continues. You mentioned you met up later in Europe. Folks probably know you were a 4th-round NBA draft pick. You played in the CBA. I grew up watching you with the Topeka Sizzlers, represent Top City. But of all the places your basketball journey took you, besides Kansas, obviously, where's your favorite place basketball took you?
The first country I went to was the Philippines.
Okay.
And it was a different perspective. It was extremely rich on one spectrum. On the other side, it was extremely poverty-stricken. So all my checks went back to the Philippines. I would line them up and feed them and do this or do that for the kids and the fans there, because it was a stepping stone for me. It wasn't a lot of money back then either, but it meant something to me. And my father, that's where Hoop Service, my youth program, came from. It was acronym for helping out other people. And that came from my father. We had a grocery business growing up, and I'm like, Dad, these people are getting credit and they're not paying their monthly bills. Why are you still helping them? And he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, son, you got to help out other people. And that's, although I'm a basketball player, that's where hoop came from.
Love that.
It comes back from Pops. And so Philippines is special. I love France. And the other country was Israel. Israel because I had gotten back in the church, got in the Bible, and got a chance to experience a lot of stuff that I had read about and learned about in Bible study and in church growing up. So, and that opened my eyes and helped me grow as an adult. So,
you hear all the time how the Jayhawk brand is universal. It's worldwide. When the Hawks spread their wings, it goes all around the globe, and that's especially true in the modern day. What was it like back then in the 80s going overseas? Did people understand Kansas basketball?
They really did. They loved us. I went over to Israel. It was a bunch of us that was playing professional in France, and we was like, hey, we got to change the market. Let's go. Israel was more competitive because you had more American Jews and you had more than 2 foreigners per team. And they loved us. They didn't want us. We went over right after the Hebron massacre, and there was so many people scared to walk around. But they loved us. They recognized us as athletes, and It was all about Kansas. It's Jayhawks, and I mean everything. You didn't have to buy dinner. You didn't have to pay card notes. You didn't have to do anything. They just loved their Jayhawks.
That's so cool to hear. All right, third question on our fast break. Number 35, won 35 games in that historic 1986 season. So many signature moments en route to the Final Four. I know you referenced 2 losses to Duke, one early, one at the end of the journey. But let's not talk about the losses. What were your favorite wins? The Elite Eight game with NC State was big. Your Big 8 tournament win over Oklahoma was a nail-biter. You beat the snot out of Mizzou. We can talk about that all day. What were your favorite wins if you had to pick 1 or 2 from a 35-win season?
Missouri would be too easy. I say the Michigan State game. A lot of people reference that. We had Danny and I believe Cedric foul out. I was cramping up, and people thought I was hurt, but it was cramps because I didn't like to eat before a game too heavy. I was already heavy as it was, and ended up having 26 points, and I think 8 in overtime with the guys on the bench in foul trouble. And Scals and I were good friends, and we became closer after that. And he was tough competitor, I was competitor, and so they thought we was getting into it, but that's just what fired us up. And so the Michigan State game, I led the team in scoring and helped us with being shorthanded. The NC State game, I played well in, and I'm leaving, and that's when we didn't have cell phones, and Valvano was on the pay phone, and he stopped and had some choice words to me afterwards, so that I'll never forget that part. And
Jim Valvano said what?
I can't say.
You can't say it. He was on the payphone and he said, "Hey, wait a minute," and he told you something. He said, "Don't give up. Don't ever give up."
He said, "Don't ever give up." If I couldn't tell the Max Falkenstein story, there's no way I could say what he said.
Okay. Sounds good. God rest his soul. Okay, and then lastly, I want you to try to go back in time, hop in the DeLorean like Marty McFly in Back to the Future. Take us back to being BMOC, big man on campus, a superstar athlete in the 80s compared to modern day. Now these guys, they got their own brand. They got their own social media presence. They're a big deal, but they're mostly going to online classes. Take me back to a day in the life of what it was like. When you'd win, how did you celebrate? When you go to class, what was it like as a Jayhawk star on Mount Oread? Just for all of us, take us back in time to the 80s.
It was great. And I'm in high school now with the kids, and I just don't get kids not going to school. We went to class. We wanted to be seen. We wanted to be recognized. We wanted to share it with the fans. I started my camp on wheels to help celebrate for those who couldn't come to coaches' camps for whatever reason. It's the fans. It's all the fans who make they don't realize how big of a difference it makes. That's why it's so tough to win up in Ames.
Oh yeah.
We never won in my 4 years. We never won in Ames, Iowa. And it makes a big difference. And that's what I'm trying to instill back at my alma mater now. Don't wait for us to start winning. Support now. Be a real fan. And we wanted to give back to the student body because a lot of them didn't go to games. It only seats so many. And so for them to get a chance to see us, to share notes with us, to study with us, to get in study groups with us, it meant something.
That's cool. You guys were rock stars, I'm sure. What was the party like when you clinched Final Four berth before you headed off to the Final Four? When you beat NC State and you came back to campus, a hero's welcome awaits. What was that like?
Oh, it's about over with, huh? No, hey, a lot of it was a blur. Sure. And a lot of it we can't talk about. Sure. I mean, but you know that we had a blast. I mean, like I said, it was so much fun. I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm just trying to paint the picture. If Jim Valvano's on a payphone, on like put a quarter in to talk, this is a different era. So I'm just trying to paint the picture on what those days were like. Well, we've had a blast out here. Our special March Madness episode from downtown Kansas City, the Power and Light District, Rally House, rocking the starter gear, looking so good there, my man. Close with this, and this is past the fast break portion of our conversation.
You guys did it so well in March of '86. What's the key, not just for this Kansas team in 2026, but in general? What's the magic to winning in March? Whether it's guard play, Hall of Famer on the sidelines, team chemistry, an excellent draw in the bracket. You put your own words on it. If Calvin Thompson could sum it up, what's the magic to winning in March, regardless of generation?
You hit the nail on the head when you said guard play. I mean, they're the quarterbacks of the team. Outside of guard play, it's most of the teams are good. All of them are good. Some of them are lucky, but you got to stay healthy. You got to be good and lucky to be healthy at that point. So it's good is not going to always get you there. I mean, we weren't healthy when we lost Archie. That was a major part of us. And we didn't have time to recover, so to speak. But the healthy teams, lucky teams, I mean, you're going to have to get breaks.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's on the same page, and that's why I said, we're getting healthy at the right time.
Yep.
It makes a big difference. But guard play, because everybody's, centers and post players are so small nowadays.
Yeah. Sage wisdom from a guy who did it so very well, one of our favorite Jayhawks. Thank you for coming down here today. I know it wasn't a far commute. You're at KCK any day, every day at Wyandotte High School, paying back to your alma mater. But thank you for making it through the traffic to be down here. We'll let you head out and enjoy the fan festivities. We got a pep rally coming up.
Right.
We got Jayhawks and Frogs later. We appreciate everybody out here at Rally House for having us out today for Hanni and the Hawks. Keep it tuned to Kansas Nation and kansasnation.com for coverage throughout the month of March and more great conversations like this one, looking back on some of the greats of all time in KU history, right here on Hanni and the Hawks.